In this video, a deep dive review of the Bare Knuckle Polypaf pickup set. When these pickups first came out, I didn't think much other than Nolly plus BKP equals awesome, but I didn't really want to pay for it as primarily a modern metal guy, which has a very specific tonal demand. When it comes to the PAF style pickups in the traditional sense, it's not my first choice despite being a sucker for a Les Paul, and there's no shortage of options in the American market. I think it's fair to say that PAF is one of, if not the most popular pickup style, stock or aftermarket. When I feel some of BKP's best sellers are more disruptive to the market of low-tuned extended range pickups, so my reaction was, this is a PAF which I associate with classic rock, blues, hard rock, dad rock, whatever, punk, that can handle low tunings. The release of these pickups came at a time I was really focusing on a composition style that was less guitar riff-centric, away from the extreme metal of my band Pro Machina. I was shopping for Tellys and Strats and PRS, looking for something to accompany my Les Paul for more blues big band sound. And then considering my vocal range lends more to lower tunings, I pulled the trigger on this pickup set, and in doing so, I realized they are so much more than a PAF for downtuners. When reviewing the sound of things or guitars, whatever, I hate the word versatile because it tells me nothing. Well-rounded could mean it isn't amazing in any particular category. Me and my personality rather have a dedicated perfectionist. For example, there are some really fast sedans out there, but a track-focused race car is going to pull better lap times. My go-to is Can It Prog and Can It Thrash. That being said, I've never had a guitar or pickup set fall into balance with any signal chain I throw at it better than this pickup set. This could be its own video, but as a quick first test, I'm going to cycle through a handful of presets on an amp modeler and switch between coil settings. Then do the same thing with my 2018 Les Paul Classic, which has one of my favorite Gibson-y PAF sounds and a similar level of functionality. Hopefully you can hear what I mean. The top end doesn't get too harsh with the Polypaf with crazy high gain, and the output is very controllable. Then the mid gain stuff kind of rounds out perfectly. If you were to say the Polypaf is a vintage-inspired polymath, you wouldn't be totally wrong, but that's a crazy oversimplification. I feel at high gain you'll get a little bit more quack with the Polypaf versus aggressive low end, but before I say much more on that, as another A/B test, I want to run a double blind of a full mix between this and the polymath, and you can form an opinion on your own without bias. Yes, these pickups are in different guitars with different specs, and it's really only tested at a high gain, but the results should shed some light on your decision making if you're considering one of these pickup sets. Finding the right guitar to put these in can be a massive challenge. I felt the same way with the polymaths. In one of the promotional videos, Nolly talks about physical displacement of the string and how it affects output, and therefore running thick strings or down tuning or a shorter scale length can give you more output and ultimately picking hand control, which is the whole point of these line of pickups. If you want a Category 5 Hurricane out of your guitar with unlimited forgiveness, these are not for you. Considering all that, I have compiled a list of recommendations and not recommendations. As a disclaimer, this is just my opinion. There's no right or wrong. Live your life. Recommended lumped together entry-level PRS like SE2408 or a PRS CE or an S2. It has shorter scale, split controls, not massively expensive. I don't recommend a PRS Core Series because it's very rare that pickup swaps add value to your instrument, and the PRS USA pickups are sacred to people buying that. In those same lines, other recommendations are Fender Ultra 2 Meteora or a used Jim Root Telecaster. If you're a Gibson person, the Gibson Les Paul Modern Studio or the Gibson Victory. And I do not recommend mid-level to low-end Epiphones just because the price of the guitar or the price of the pickups, you're almost doubling your money you're putting into the instrument without any increase of market value. As a percent, that's almost 100% loss, where it doesn't have to be. But if you sell things separately or you don't sell things at all, that point is completely moot. And for my last recommendation, what I ended up going for is a Charvel Style 2. When you read about these pickups from other reviews or the description, I've been seeing the word addictive being thrown around, and I think that's the perfect description of what these are. My favorite quality is how you can completely forget that these are a vintage wire with a more pulled back magnet, and on the other end of the spectrum, I can completely forget how these chug with the best of them. I love playing Lamb of God and Mastodon into Led Zeppelin with seamless transition. I think the biggest fault is how much workability is needed from your hands. It requires a lot of focus and technical application. But to finally admit to my bias, the Polymath has been one of my favorite pickup sets, and having these is like discovering a new recipe for your favorite meal. So that's it for this video. Please subscribe and like.